guys, this is Lizzie from Love From Lizi with the May 2017 10 cards 1 kit video, and here we are straight in with card 1. This is a very simple sort of go-to design that I like to refer to. It's just an easy, nice way to ease myself into 10 cards in this instance. And all you've seen me do there is use a card base, which is just all of the cardstock I've cut in half widthways, so that I've got 10 card bases using the coloured card, and I've held my patterned paper up on top and sort of left a small border's edge around. You can do this measuring, and obviously you're well within your rights, but I just enjoy doing this sort of by eye. And there you've seen me pick another paper that sort of contrasts nicely with the green, hold it up on top of the sticker that I want to use to make sure that it's a nice width, and sort of treat it as a belt that's going to run across the card for the sticker to sort of land on. I think this may well have been my favourite kit to have worked with that I've put together so far. It's masculine cards, generally speaking, I'm actually not a fan really of doing them. I find them very difficult and they don't come naturally. But this kit did make it quite easy. You know, they just sort of came. And it's not just masculine cards, obviously. I mean, blue is my favourite colour. So, I mean, they're not strictly for men, but they work well for. Anyway, so here's my sticker, which you can see is die cut, the frame from the centrepiece. And I'm just using my EK Success powder tool here to deactivate the stick on the back, because if you foam mount, which was what my intention is, a sticker and you're putting it in the post, if it gets squashed a little bit, a side of the sticker may touch the card base, and then it's just not going to look right. So if you deactivate the sticky, then it doesn't matter. And all I did there was using my tweezers, popped it down in place, and then I put the frame on over the top, because if you put the frame down first and then try to put the centrepiece in, you're going to be fussing around and it's not going to look perfect. And so yeah, that's my hint. Okay, so you're about to see one of a little tip here for using peel-offs. These are all the little scrappy bits that I've used, and all I do here is I overlay the corners so that they're a little bit longer, and then I use my craft knife and push down quite firmly and drag a little bit, and that will mitre the corners into a really nice point. So that's a little top tip there for you if you like using my peel-offs. Okay, and now I'm just using some double-sided sticky tape. You could use the sticky tape in the kit. I didn't for this. I've got a slightly wider one. And I just run it all the way around the edge. You could put some in the middle as well, you know. But I like to be able to do this, which is fold down opposing corners and then line it all up before it's completely sticky to make sure I get it nice and straight. And here I am bringing in some glossy accents. I am actually currently having to find a needle. Sorry about my hair there. But yeah, every time I use my glossy accents, for some reason it clogs up. So just a little needle down to the top of the bottle, and I go over both of the dragonflies. And I love putting sequins and nouveau drops and lots of sparkly and pretty things on my cards. So when I'm doing a guy card, I try not to. So I found the glossy accents was really good. It was a really good go-to because it added something to the card without it being too shiny. The same with the nouveau drops, because they are a flat colour. They worked well. But here's card 2. Now this I think might be my favourite. I'm not sure. But here I'm using the foam. So I cut a strip off of the sheet, pressed it into the foam so that the sticky was onto the non-shiny side, gave it a good burnish and then peeled it back. And then I used that piece to die cut a couple of the arrows from. And here I've picked a patterned paper and I've simply cut some strips, and 1-inch strips, and using the grid mats I'm going to line them up so that I make sure they're straight from top to bottom, leaving a little gap between them and having them slightly over to the left. Flip the card base over and trim off the excess so that I've got nice clean edges. And here I'm using one of the vellum tiles, And I do play around a little bit with this, and as I say, I think this is my favourite. I am not good at these random, all over the show kind of cards. This is not my comfort zone at all. And I did think, if I'm perfectly honest, that I was going to have to bin this card at one point, but it came good. So I'm using one of the small tags from the kit and using some more of that same patterned paper and attaching bits on. And here I'm using the double-sided tape from the kit, and I'm running a strip of it on the same on both of those patterned strips, just on one side. Give it a good firm press down with my bone folder, and then I am using the foil, yes again, and this is where you see how stingy I am with my foil. I use every last little bit. I'm so precious about it. I love it. So if you're like me with your foil is going to go a very, very long way. But yeah, so I did another little strip on the bottom of the tag there, just to match it in, and then I've popped one of the clips on the side of the tag, and I arranged the arrows, and of course because they're double-sided sticky, they're nice and easy to attach. You can just peel the backer off. So I've popped those down, and then using my Nuvo glue, I just went over the back of the numbers of this tile because they've got the foiling on. The glue wouldn't show through. And now I'm just using some of the baker's twine. I'm wrapping it around a couple of times and just tying it into a very simple knot. There is nothing fancy about what I'm doing. So it's anyone can do it. I turn this over and I pop some foam tape onto the back of the tag, and then just place it down on the card front. And now, because the tag is covering up a portion of the vellum, I know I can get away with some glue. So I put a little bit of glossy accents. Because it's got that fine nozzle on it, I'm able to poke it down a little bit. And then I pop some more glossy accents on the tail of the tag and tucked them into the clip just to stop it swinging around. And here's card 3. Now, I love these little tiles. These are so user-friendly, and I cut out 3 of the blue ones. There's the horse, the owl, and the hedgehog. But then there was also a sticker with a hot air balloon that was in a similar sort of blue. And I'm using the green card base. This was actually, I don't know how this has happened, but this was actually my 10th card that I made. So this card base was like the last one left, if you like, which is why I'm completely just covering over a card base that doesn't actually match to the project I'm doing. So yeah, I'm not sure how it's ended up in the middle of the video. But I'm using double-sided sticky tape, and I take the card to the paper rather than trying to put the paper on the card. I personally prefer that. Flip it over, cut off the extra, and there we have a nice orange, which I think orange and blue, generally speaking, obviously on the colour wheel, complete opposites, but I think it's really striking. Here I'm using my Nuvo glue fine tip glue pen, and I'm literally just dabbing the smallest amounts onto like the owl feathers, on the hairs, the horse's mane on its hair, then also on the little paper clips and the hedgehogs, and I just accented just tiny little pieces. And then using the double-sided tape, I run across through the actual card base that's now got the orange on it. And I didn't have my tape perfectly straight there, so I did peel it up and I managed to get it back down again. I think if you're doing something like this, having the lines actually straight makes such a difference, because it can completely knock the card off kilter if the lines aren't good. So use your grip mat, use whatever it is that makes you comfortable. And here's me being all stingy again with my foil, using these tiny, weeny little scrappy bits. But it does show you that such a small amount goes such a long way, and if you don't get a good coverage, pick it up, put it back down again, keep going until you do, and eventually you'll fill your bits in. So here I am now just sticking down with foam tape and with glue the various little bits and pieces. I die cut one of the other arrows from that leftover piece of foam from the earlier card. And I actually die cut another one as well and pop that down, and I used one of the stickers, the inspiring sentiment stickers, and I popped that on the card front, and that was the end of card 3. So here's card 4, And on this one I'm using the telephone paper. So all I'm doing here is wanting just to create a bit of interest along the edge. So I fussy cut around the edge of the telephones, and then using some double-sided tape I attach that onto the front of my card. And here I wanted to use this telephone sticker, and here I did a fishtail. Now if I'd have thought about this a little bit, I could have done done it like a pennant instead, so that there was like a V the opposite way at the bottom, and I wouldn't have had to cut into the phone. But you know, this is just how I work. You know, here I'm not advocating playing with lighters, of course, but this rope, if you don't singe the ends on it, it will fray very quickly. I asked me how I know. When I was preparing all of the kits for packing, my lovely little piggy picked up one of these and started swinging it around, thinking he was very funny. And the 10 seconds it took for me to get up and get it back off of him, it had unfrayed about, I don't know, 10 centimetres of it. So do singe it, maybe perhaps pop it in some water if you're concerned about your fingers, but if you leave it a few seconds and then just squeeze it gently so that the ends bind together nicely, you'll be home and dry. Here I'm just covering the telephone and some of the little telephones in the background with glossy accents, having foam mounted that little tag up. And here I'm just using some of the stripy patterns just to go along the edge, and then I'm putting glossy accents on one of the stripes. So all of these cards are quite simple, very easy to put together, very quick. Oh, please excuse my head. And yeah, so that's that card. Here's card number 5. I love all the blues. I love blue. It makes me happy, as you may have been able to tell. Okay, so I'm here. I've just cut a panel. Again, with 6x6, I don't mind using the trimmer so much because the bit of waste you can very rarely use it for. It's millimetres on the end. And I'm just attaching that down with my Nuvo broad tip glue pen, and this is a way to make sure you're not wasting any of your stickers. If you put your card where your sticker naturally would have laid, then you can just lay it down rather than peeling it all off and it not going back again. Anyway, here's another one of the stickers, which is a frame and centrepiece that are die cut separate. And I've just attached the frame down onto the front, and I'm laying some peel offs. And here is where you can see I keep all of my little bits. You can just butt them up, as long as you're careful with your placement and you've got a steady hand. You can butt them up next to each other, and then they're going to be fine. So now I've got my my Fiskars craft knife, and I am just cutting a circle from where around the inside of the frame. I used some washi tape to tape the front of the card down to make sure it didn't lift, and then I placed the elephant sticker within the middle. Here I used my powder tool again to neutralise the sticker. Just to be fair, the amount of foam tape I put on the back of it wasn't actually necessary. It would be very unlikely that it would manage to stick, but I did it anyway. And so I'm using this as a sentiment sticker, and now I'm using the Nuvo drops just to put 3 little drops, and this is my usual sort of style, just like this, but I thought I'd go a little bit crazy, and so I just kept twisting the card, so I'm twisting the orientation, and I just kept putting 3 little dots down all over the place, to be honest. But I actually really liked how it turned out, and I think, you know, it's something different for me, and it's a good alternative to sequins to cause, you know, a little bit of interest that isn't going to be too shiny and over the top for a guy. So here's card 6. Now this one, I am sure there is a better way to do it, and I'm sure that there are YouTubers out there that have shown it, so don't pay any attention to how I've done this. But I lined 2 of these stamps up in my MISTI, and then I moved my card around. I didn't measure it, I did it all by eye. So yes, as I say, sure there's a better way of doing it. But I moved it around so that, as you can see, that's all I did. I just shifted it, whereas I'm sure it wouldn't take much to work out how much you need to move it over by. But anyway, I stamped it all in Versamark ink onto the craft cardstock because I really do like that that watermarked effect. And then I cut some more of the patterned sort of strips, just a little narrower piece, just to give a bit of definition to the top of where those stamps are. And then using my ruler, this is a personal preference, but I measured a centimetre gap, and with my pencil, and I just used my tweezer just to stab a hole through. And I think for these size letters, a centimetre's gap was fine. You may think that you need to be wider apart, but I laced it in the heroes, and then as I'd already used the peel-offs, I thought I may as well carry on with them, and I just ran them along the edge. So that's that card all done. Very nice, quick and simple. Now again, this is another very, very simple card. Maybe not quite a favourite, but I like the idea. Now this is how I made them fit, because this octopus piece is 4x6. So I trimmed the depth of it to be 4 inches, and then I measured the card base so that I'd make that fit, and now they both fit perfectly. A little bit shorter and a little bit narrower, so that they fit together essentially. And what I did here was I fussy cut around the top of the octopus, leaving a very small white border all the way around. Well, I say white, vellum. Let's be reasonable. And then I've laid it back onto my card front, which has got the fold at the top, and then using my pencil, I trace around the edge very faintly so that it's not going to leave like impressions or dirty marks. And then using big scissors, like heavy scissors, I go around and I cut that line out. Then using the Nuvo glue behind where there is colour on the vellum, I press the octopus down and stick it on. And then using some of the tiniest gems on this sheet, some of the octopus's suction pads, or oh gosh, I have no idea what they're called. In the comments, drop me a message if you know. Yeah, just to give it a little bit of a shine. Here I am using again my Nuvo glue pen just to run on the back of the border some glue where there is pattern so that you won't see it. And this is a die, I believe, from Paper Smooches. It's just a stitched square. It doesn't actually cut anything, it just sort of pierces the paper. And I laid that up. I've layered 4 of them so that they overlapped a little bit and they were quite random. And here I'm using double-sided tape and the foil instead of a peel-off to show you like another technique with it. Learn from my mistake here, guys. Don't run the tape over the edge of the patterned paper and your cardstock. Either run it on the cardstock or on the patterned paper, because I've got a ridge in that now. So it's fine, and I'm not going to amend it because I can't. It'd be too much, but I would recommend that. And now I've stuck 2 of the record stickers flat, and then I've put foam behind the other 2 record stickers and pop them up and put those all in the spaces created by the little stitched dies. And here I am using the peel-offs to say Happy Father's Day. And note how I fold the top of the sheet down so that the top of the letters stick up, and then I use the tweezers to sort of encourage it out. And then I don't press them down until I'm happy with the placement, and then I give them a nice fan press. And that's the end of that card. So now we've got card 9. This might be one of my favourites. I think they're all my favourites. I really like this kit, and I'm sure that I would gladly make many, many more cards, but I've got mega packs that I've made promises that I will make cards from. So I'm here just going to, I'm going to stick with what I've got and look forward to the design team's cards. So I have fussy cut the hot air balloon and around the fly with me sentiment to make it look like a cloud. And here I've got a cloud stencil from Memory Box, I believe, and I'm using the Nuvo glimmer paste in Moonstone, and I'm putting a very thin layer over the top, scratching it very tight, and then popping all of the extra back into the pot. And whilst that is drying, I'm putting some very small foam squares, and I've cut them down a little bit to make sure that they're well hidden behind the foiled pieces of the hot air balloon. Take all the backings off, and now the embellishment mousse, my apologies, the glimmer mousse, is still wet at this time, so I'm being very careful with how I touch the front of the card. And here I'm using glossy accents. Now the glossy accents, I remember thinking that the multi-medium in the matte messed with vellum before, and here I'm learning that glossy accents messes with vellum. It ever so slightly stretches it. So there you go. Another mistake of mine to take from. The card did look fine at the end though. Anyway, here's card 10. So this card has got, this is just obviously nice yellow orange card base. I take the card base to the paper. I feel I've got more control that way when I'm lining it up. And then I trim around the edge. And then I take one of the larger craft tags and I just cut the top and the bottom off, just because the bottom has got rounded corners, and if I'm cutting the top off it would look strange. And then I've die cut 3 of the large arrows from that piece, and then using some, this is Do Crafts glue, I pop down a sheet of acetate on top, and here I've doubled up some foam and I'm just going around the edge to create a shaker gully. Now that that's done, I use my Eco Success powder tool to make sure there's no sticky left over. And here is a pretty yellow sequin mix, and I add, perhaps 10 brown sequins into that mix just to tie, with the bricks. And then over the top, I place my shaker. And I love when the shakers will first work and it's come good. I stick down one of the stickers that has the same pattern as the patterned paper, and then I cut a small strip of the orange patterned paper, again just so to land the sentiments, and then I pop some foam tape on the back and neutralise the ends of the sticker that's sticking out, then place it on the band. And then using the Nuvo drops, I pop a few little drops along the band on either side of the sentiment sticker. And then I run just drops all the way up the left hand side and also along the bottom. Again, just for a little bit of added interest. And that's card 10. So this is all the leftovers. I've got plenty of foil Nuvo drops, double-sided tape, 2 stamp sets. I've got the handle, 2 clips, the dies. I have also got a small stamp. There's the charms, 6 of the vellums, the gems. There's the foam, double-sided foam. There's 8 sheets of scraps, if you like, and 4 full sheets left of the patterned papers. There's the peel-offs. There's still a handful of stickers, and these are the extras that I used. So we've got sequins, peel-offs, stencil, tape, foam tape, my ruler, we've got various glues, scissors, sheet of acetate, 1 die, my Versamark ink pad, the trimmer. I also used my Misty, which I don't have showing here. So minimal additional products this month, but I used a lot of the peel-offs and the glossy accents. So here we are now into the still shots of the pictures. There are lots of competitions running at the moment. Check out my blog. I will have it posted by the end of this week. So come Friday, before shipping, you will find out all the details, and I'll be doing a draw in my May update, which will be coming on the 1st. So thanks ever so much for sticking with me this long, and I hope you've enjoyed the 10 cards 1 kit. Let me know which your favourite is, and until I grab you next time, do take care, lots of love, and happy paper crafting. Bye!